Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video on the Future Programmer YouTube channel. In today's video of the Python regular expressions tutorial series, we'll be talking about repeating characters in Python regular expressions. Without further ado, let's begin. Regular expressions are so powerful because we can specify patterns with some degree of uncertainty. For example, as you learned in the last video about character classes, we can define a pattern such that a character in it can be any numerical digit, which allows that character to be 1 out of 10 characters. Furthermore, as you will see today, regex allows us to define a pattern in such a way that we can leave some certainty about how many times each character can occur in a text for a match to happen. By default, every character in a regex pattern matches just one character. However, in today's lesson, you'll learn how to create regex patterns that match 0 or more, 1 or more, 0 or 1, or a specific number of, or a specific range of occurrences of a character. Let's begin by importing the regular expressions module, as we always do. The pattern ABC is going to match the text ABC. After all, they're an exact match. But what if we want to match a BBC or a BBBBBBC as well? Now, normally this will not match either of these two strings. To do this, we need to tell the regular expression syntax that B right here can occur one time or more, so 1 or more times. To do this, we can add an operator, a modifier, after the character B. The pattern then becomes AB plus C, where plus is a modifier. And we'll talk about what plus is more in a second, but for now, just know that we add a modifier after the character we're trying to modify. So if we're trying to make B occur a different number of times, then we will add the modifier after B. If we're trying to change the behavior of repetition of C, then we'll add a modifier after C. And the same thing with A or any other character. The first modifier that we'll talk about is the asterisk, which is a special character in a regular expression pattern that modifies a character to occur 0 or more times. So in this pattern right here, hey, we have an asterisk at the end, which means we're using this modifier to change the repeating behavior of the character Y. This will not change the repeating behavior of H or E because we're only modifying this last character right here. What this is saying is Y essentially can occur 0 or more times. So it will not only match hey, it will also match HE. So in this case, Y occurred 0 times. In this case, Y occurred, well, a lot of times, many times. And in this case, only this part will be matched because this pattern right here said nothing about having a period in the middle of the text. So therefore, you can kind of think about this as an interruption. So only the first 5 characters will be matched in the last instance. And you can see hey, HE, hey with a bunch of Ys, hey with 3 Ys. These will all be matched by this pattern right here. The plus symbol is a special character in a regular expression pattern that matches a character 1 or more times. So the difference between the plus and the asterisk is the asterisk allows a character to not occur, so occur 0 times. But the plus character makes it so that a character has to be there, but it does not care how many times it is there. It has to be there. It just doesn't care how many times that is. So here we have a pattern with hey with a plus sign at the end. So again, we're modifying the character Y. So in this case, Y occurred 1 time, that's perfect. In this case, Y occurred 0 times, that is unacceptable. So HE will not be matched. Now the last two match exactly what we saw in the previous code block right here because Y can occur many times. And in this case, a bunch of times or 3 times doesn't matter. As long as it is there, then the pattern will match the text. And you can see the output to confirm this. The question mark operator is a special character that matches a character 0 or 1 times, basically making that character optional in matching operations. So here we have a pattern, coder with a question mark. So what this is saying is the R here is essentially optional. It can either be there or it can not be there. But if it is there, it must only occur one time. If it occurs any more than one time, then, well, only one of the R's will be matched. So we have coder with a question mark, and it will match code because in this case, R occurred 0 times. It will also match coder because, well, R occurred 1 time. Coder with 2 R's will not be matched in its entirety. However, because we're using find all, coder with the first R, this will be matched. And likewise, coder with 2 C's and 2 R's, well, this will be matched right here, up to this point, coder with 1 R. And code with a dot at the end, only the first 4 characters will be matched, because in this case, R occurred 0 times. And you can see the output to confirm these hypotheses. Another way to think about it is essentially we know if it's coder with a question mark, then it can only match 2 things, either code or coder. So either R appears 0 times or R occurs 1 time. And you can see in the output, we only either match code, coder, or code. So basically code or coder. Now let's talk about making it so that a character needs to occur exactly an exact number of times for it to be matched. And we can do this through the syntax of curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, we input a number which indicates that the modified character needs to occur exactly m times to be matched. So in this case, we have the pattern water, but what's changed from water is we have a modifier. In this case, we have a modifier indicating that the E has to occur exactly 4 times for the match to happen. So in this case, water has 3 E's. In this case, water has 4 E's. And in this case, water has 5 E's. And only this water right here with 4 E's will be matched. And you may wonder, what is the difference between having these 3 characters, modifying the E? What is the difference between this versus just putting 3 E's here? So there will also be 4 E's. And in this case, there is no difference. We can just simply do this, and the output will not change. However, what if we want to, let's say, instead of 4, we want to match the E 400 times? For whatever reason, we want to match the E 400 times. Then in this case, it will be a lot more tedious to spell out a bunch of E's, so rather we would just put 400. So in this case, there is no difference, but a lot of times it can be helpful to specify a number rather than repeating the character itself. Using a similar syntax, we can also specify a range of times a character or a set, as we'll talk about in a second, can occur for a text to match. So for example, in curly brackets, if we pass in 3, 6, so minimum of 3 to a maximum of 6, this indicates that whatever character that is modified can be repeated 3, 4, 5, or 6 times. So 3 through 6 times. We can also omit parts of the modifier when necessary. So if we omit the maximum number, then maximum is by default infinity. So if min is, let's say, 3, then this will just read 3 to infinite number of times, at least 3 times. And if we omit the minimum value, then minimum is by default 0. So this will be 0 to, let's say, 5 times. So in this pattern, we have modified A to occur 2 to 4 times, either 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times. So here A occurs 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So in this case, only these 3 lines right here will be matched because A occurs 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times, as you can see in the output. If we omit the maximum number of times, then you'll see it's 3 to an infinite number of times, so at least 3 times. As long as there are at least 3 T's in between the A and the E here, then the text will be matched. So water with 2 T's will not be matched, but 3 T's or a lot more T's, these will be matched. Likewise, if we omit the minimum number of times, then this is by default 0. So 0, 3 means T can occur 0 times, 1 time, 2 time, or 3 times. So we have this will match, this will also match, this will also match, this will also match, but this will not match because it has one too many t's. In addition to repeating individual characters, we can also use regex to repeat characters that belong to a character class, something we talked about in the last video. And this is also a lot better of an example as to why sometimes we want to use a modifying character rather than just spelling out the class, say, many times. So if we want to do, let's say, A to Z, say 4 times. So this will be a lot easier if we do this rather than having to copy this and paste it 4 times. So in this case, let's return this to its previous state. We have a pattern that specifies a character class of lowercase and uppercase letters. And we have used the plus operator to modify it so that this character, whatever it is, in this class has to occur at least 1 time, but it does not care how many times it actually occurs, as long as it occurs at least 1 time. And notice the use of the full match method of the pattern, and we'll see future programmer will be matched because this is, after all lowercase and uppercase letters. However, this right here is not so lucky because of the numbers which are not part of this class. This will be returned as none. And you can see that confirmed right here. If we change this to the normal search method, oops, I meant to put search here, then you'll see we just get future programmer since it doesn't care about this last part, since we're just looking for 1 match. So in this case, that will work. But for a full match, we'll see none because there are numbers which don't belong in this class right here. Essentially, the point is that this character, this modifier, can modify not just individual characters, but also classes. And you can also do things such as backslash, let's say, d, which will modify for numbers. So if we get rid of this, we'll see 360 instead. That will be all for today's lesson on repetition modifiers. Now we can use regular expressions to match with texts of varying lengths. And this greatly increases the power of regular expressions because we can specify patterns with even greater degrees of uncertainty, which allows us to match different strings of even more shapes and forms with the same regular expression pattern. And that's all for today's video on repeating characters in Python with regular expressions. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing down below and hitting that thumbs up button. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And with that said, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy programming and see you in future videos.